The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to this morning's helpline session with your host, James McDonald.
Well, thank you very much, Andrea, and I'd like to start by welcoming our coaching participants to our Monday morning free-for-all webinar, and I say that because, as you know, every Monday morning we start the week off by doing this helpline session where we want to encourage you to bring up whatever topic you like. We don't want to have a set agenda as to what we're going to talk about every Monday. We want you to come with your questions, any topics of discussions. We can discuss anything you like, anything that you need help with. Maybe you're running some ads or you're preparing to run some ads and you want some help. Perhaps you're setting up your website and you've got some questions about that. Maybe it's about lead conversion. And very quickly, what many of you are going to discover is lead conversion is the ball game. So I want you to start to think about all of the things that happened maybe over the course of the weekend while you're, looking at the website and considering what you're implementing, etc. And write those questions down. And then you can pose those questions to Craig and myself, and we'll take an hour or so here this morning, as we do every morning, and we'll make sure that we get to as many of those questions as possible. Now, what I also want to remind you of is that on Thursday, just as we did last Thursday, we're going to do role-playing. So you're going to be honing your skills with using that universal callback script, and we're going to get more and more of you as we become more our expertise increases with that script. We can roll through a lot more members a lot more quickly on those role play sessions. So this Thursday, we're going to take as many volunteers as time permits, and we're going to do some role plays with the universal script with all of you. And then, of course, Friday's our marketing clinic, and we're going to ask you to send in any ads, and we'll take a look at them. Let me caution you, as I'm certain was discussed on Friday, do not send us ads that you invented. Don't do that. We call those homemade ads. Remember, what you've done here is you've purchased a franchise model. So the idea is the closer you copy the model, the closer to the model's results you'll get. And if you spend some time over the weekend exploring the coaching website, you can see that there are all kinds of examples of different lead generators. All you need to do is copy those. So if you do that and you send in your ad, we'll take a look at what you've done. And obviously there are degrees of customization involved in the ads. But what we want to do is we want to identify those who are the best at copying so that we can then point out to everybody else, that's what you want your ad to look like. And lo and behold, what you'll find is they're always the ads that generate the best response. And the ads that you created from scratch and are homemade and you want to send it in to show Craig, look what I invented. I have to be honest, we've been doing this for a long, long time. And these ads that Craig created took years and years of testing and retesting and refining so that you can simply take them and copy them. So I cannot encourage you enough to begin by just doing that. There isn't any reason why over the course of the next few days or weeks at most, you shouldn't have your lead generation system down, stable, predictable, consistent. You'll have 2 or 3, maybe eventually 4 or 5 different streams of lead generation that are generating you that 2, 3, 4, 5 leads every single day, and the leads are coming in from various sources. We're going to start with the least expensive, the most automated sources of lead generation, and you're going to add to them one at a time. Once the lead generation is stable, you're going to hit the repeat button, and it's just going to repeat over and over and over again. Then what is your focus? Lead conversion. Lead conversion is where you're going to make a ton of money and where the real opportunity to grow your business lies. Once you become really good at lead conversion, then the sky's the limit with how big you can grow your business and how profitable it can be. So we're super excited for that, and I hope that the juices are flowing a little bit here and that you've got some questions that you'd like to ask. For the shy types, you can type your question into the chat, of course. And we also, if you have a live working microphone on your computer, you know that we can also interact through using your microphone and speaker on your computer as well. So we'd like to do that. And without further delay, why don't we get started with that, Andrea?
Yes, sir. We already have several questions in the queue and a few hands raised. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and type your question or comment at the bottom of your webinar control panel chat box, or if you have a working mic or on the telephone, click the hand icon you see at the top of your control panel, and then we can open your mic. We have our first question from David. He says, can you recommend a book or a source on your site that will give me a close to step-by-step method for setting up an effective team with roles, job descriptions, suggested compensation?
Wow. Well, I have to say that's an extremely detailed question. And obviously this is something in Craig's business that evolved over many, many years. So here's what I'm going to suggest is two things. First of all, we are going to get to that in the coaching program where we're really going to detail that. But honestly, the concept isn't build the team and then the business will follow. It's build the business and then the team becomes a necessity. So you got to remember that as well. Do not misread Craig's message here. The reason that Craig grew a team is because he became so busy that he couldn't do all of the parts by himself. So he hired an administrative person without a real estate license to handle the overflow of administrative unlicensed activity that had to get done to free him up to sell real estate. Then what happened is because he could focus on that and marketing to generate even more business, then all of a sudden he couldn't handle all of the buyers and sellers that he was generating. So he had too many. So he then hired an outside sales agent to handle the overflow of buyers and sellers that Craig himself was not going to handle. But please do not confuse the message with, you need to go out and you need to build this team and set up and hire this team. And in doing so, automatically, by having the team, you will create all this business. This build it and they will come isn't applicable to the way that Craig grew his real estate team. It was a much more strategic approach based on the lead generation. Now, having said that, I'm not going to assume I know where you're at right now in your business. I don't know. So perhaps you are at that place where you're generating an overflow of business and you're clearly also completing tasks on a daily basis that are really $8 to $12 an hour tasks that someone else could be doing. So here's what I'm going to recommend immediately that you do. On the next consultation you have with your coach, this is what you need to discuss with them. There is not a coach that Craig has hired that hasn't had exactly the experience that you're referring to in your question. So you're going to be speaking with somebody that not only knows Craig's system inside and out, but they've actually lived it. They've done exactly what you're talking about. All of the coaches have built a team, and therefore they've done exactly what you're looking to do. So that's exactly why we've assigned you a one-on-one coach. So yes, plenty of resources there on the website. We will get to it in the coaching program. But in addition, this is also why you've got your one-on-one coach, and I highly suggest that you discuss it with them. Now, Craig, have you joined us?
I have, Mr.
There he
McDonald.
is.
How are you today?
I'm excellent. How you doing?
Well, I lost my cell phone. I can't find it, and it's very frustrating. I don't know if that's happened to you before, but I've turned the whole house upside down, and now I'm starting to blame other people, which
that's the next step in the process.
Yeah, you blame other people, and then you find it somewhere stupid.
Yes, it's between the seats in your car. That's my guess.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway. Such is life. So, look, we are going to answer every question. We'll do the best we can here today. So you folks know how this works. You can type your questions into the chat box if you're a little bit shy. Sometimes that is also efficient. Or if you prefer to ask an audio question, we always love to get those. You can raise your hands, and our lovely operator, Andrea, will explain how you can ask an audio question.
Yes, sir. If you have a working mic or if you're on the telephone, preferably for the clearest audio, you can click the hand icon you see at the top of your webinar control panel. It's going to be a little yellow hand. Just click it, and then that way I know you would like to ask an audio question. If you can't find that hand or you're not sure what to do, just type in the chat box, "I'd like to ask a question live," and I can open your mic. We have several hands raised, and we have a lot of questions, Craig, so whatever you want to do first.
Okay, well, I'm going to go to the chat questions. First question is from David Plunkett, and David asks, can you recommend a good book or source on your coaching site that would help me establish a team with goals, job descriptions, roles, etc.? Well, David, the best business book I've ever read in regards to all that is The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. The E-Myth stands for the entrepreneurial myth we covered that at the Super Conference. That should be like mandatory reading for all of you. We do have information on the coaching website. If you go to the file library, you can just type in exactly what you're looking for, and I'll have Andrea demonstrate how that file library looks. It's almost like magic. You just type in whatever you want, and whatever you want appears. So there's newsletter, and boom. Maybe type in team. Let's see if we have the team stuff uploaded yet.
And you'll have to give us some time. Adrian and I are working as quickly as possible to get everything loaded. It's a one PDF, one Word doc issue at a time. So it's taking us a little bit of time to get everything uploaded to the new site. But hopefully by the end of the week we'll have everything.
All right, try position contracts. Try type that in. Okay, well, now that I've bragged about how great this is and how magical it is, it actually isn't working yet. It's not that it isn't working. We just changed from our old coaching site to our new coaching site. Prior coaching members realize that. For new members, you don't realize there was a former site. But we are uploading. That's how it's going to work anyway. And, David, we are going to do entire coaching sessions on this very topic. Okay, here we go. I think something happened there. So what do you got there, Andrea?
So I just tried typing in contracts. So here's all the various contracts we've gotten uploaded so far. And like I said, Adrian and I are working very hard on getting everything loaded as quickly as we can.
Okay, so let's download Inside Sales Contract in manual. So eventually, you're going to have so many leads that you're going to want to hire somebody to help you call back all of the prospects. That's not to say that you don't do it. You're going to cherry pick the best leads, but let's say you get to that point where you've got so many leads, you can't call them all yourself. Some of you may already be in that spot right now. So what I'm providing you are the position contracts I had for each one of my team members. Okay, so this explains the duties and the hours. You'll just want to read through this. Now, you don't have to be enslaved by my contracts, but it'll give you a great head start. Now, the reason we want contracts with all of the people working with us is we want a clear description of exactly what we expect of them and what they expect of us. We're also going to have clauses in there to protect us, like we're going to have a non-compete clause that they can't, compete with us and steal our database and things like that. So, David, you might want to start by just looking through this information, but we're not going to just give you the information. We're going to actually go through it step by step by step. What James just said to you a few minutes ago is absolutely accurate. There is a way to do this. If you've hired assistants in the past and it hasn't worked for you, if you've tried to grow your team, it's not that the concept doesn't work. It's either that you weren't ready for it, you tried to grow the team before you grew the business, or you hired the wrong people, or those people were doing the wrong thing. So if you hire the right people, doing the right things at the right time in your business, two things are going to happen for sure. You will make more money and you will work less. Okay, let's keep going with the questions here. Brent is asking, hi, is there an actual form that Craig used to fill out for a buyer consult as stated in the script? Okay, that's an excellent question. So what Brent is referring to is in the universal callback script, we say, like let's get together so I can take down exactly what you're looking for. And
I've got a form that I fill out to make sure that I don't miss any of your criteria.
Correct.
And every one of you have that form, by the way.
Okay, and that form is right off of your MLS. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to look at all the fields on your MLS, and that's going to make up your form. Okay, so there'd be no sense in me giving you my form because your MLS will have different fields. But that's what the form you're going to fill out is basically what you're able to fill out on MLS. It's just all the different fields. All right, next question. This next question is from Leslie. Leslie says, when responding to leads that come in with items in the mail, for example, if someone inquires about foreclosures and distressed property lists, do we send them MLS listing printouts and reports, or what have you found that is the most effective material to be sent out? It seems like email is the best way for them to review the properties because of all the pictures. All right, so we're offering really two things to prospects, right? We're offering either a list of properties or we're offering free reports. Those are the two things that we're offering. Okay, now when you direct prospects to the website and they enter all their information, they're going to be able to immediately see the report. Okay, that's the way the Success website is set up. If they don't enter their information, they see nothing. But if they enter everything, they're going to be able to see the report. You could turn that off if you want, and you could email them the report, or you can mail out the report if you wish. The property lists, you're going to have to create those yourself. Okay, now you could drive traffic to the HDX part of the website if you have that option, but that's not the way I did it. The way I did it is I offered a free list like foreclosures or luxury homes or fixer-uppers, and then the prospects would go to the landing page. They'd fill in not only their contact information, but the exact criteria of the type of home they're looking for. And then my assistant would go into MLS, just pull off homes with pictures that match their criteria, and then we would send that out. And then I would follow up with a phone call. Now, if the buyer would come in and meet with me and sign a buyer agency agreement, then they would get those daily emails, just like I'm sure you're using right now, just set up right from MLS. Okay, I do like mailing out the special reports because email, sometimes can't be counted on, but you could do both. You could email and you could mail out the information. Next question. Next question here. This is from Ted Ecker. How do we get a non-branded landing page for different classified ads when you have your own web page? Okay, well, look, I would definitely use the Success website, especially when they give you a risk-free trial. I've designed all of the landing pages. Now, you could create your own landing pages, and you could create your own hotline scripts. You could go record this stuff yourself. James and I like to refer to this as homemade. And you might be thinking, well, I could save some money doing that. But if you lost one transaction this year because your landing page isn't as good as the ones that I have designed, you remember, you're getting the exact replica that I'm getting. So your buyers and sellers would be seeing the exact same landing pages that my buyers and sellers were seeing. And your hotline scripts would sound exactly like mine, even recorded by the exact same person. So my recommendation, of course, is you bought the program because you see this as a franchise prototype. And I wouldn't mess with the franchise prototype. I would just use it exactly the way it's laid out. Sometimes we're penny wise and pound foolish. So think of the big picture. You want your marketing, your landing page to be perfect. On top of that, not only are the landing pages perfect, look at the tracking and all the other things in the back end that Success website does for you that your homemade website would not be able to do. Next question is from Ellen Adams. Ellen asked this. He says, do you think it's good to join an established real estate firm in the town you want to target, or just start from scratch and go out on your own? Well, really, that's a personal question. You're going to have to make that decision. There's an argument for being dependent on a large established franchise, but there's also an argument for being independent. Okay, so you're going to have to make that decision. As you know, I stayed at RE/MAX my entire career, over to almost 25 years. But we have other members that, decide to leave their franchise and go out as an independent. I think the important thing is you've got to look at your personal situation right now, Alan, and you've got to think, well, what would be best for me right now? Forget about long-term, like what would be best for you right now? And, if you started with a franchise and you get yourself established, you can always go out on your own if you wish to do that. Next question is from Herman. Herman asks, how does the landing page work? Do we have to work with Success website to set up different landing pages? No, the landing pages are created for you. You have them. The only thing that you need to decide is which campaigns, which ads you want to run, and we tell you which landing page to drive the buyers and sellers to. You're going to have to register a unique domain name if you want to track everything you do. So if you're going to run an ad in 3 different newspapers, you better have a unique domain name for each of the 3 newspapers. Otherwise, you wouldn't know which leads came from which newspaper. Carol's asking this. I am a second home resort. I'm in a second home resort market with 2 free weekly newspapers and a resort real estate book. Which ads do you recommend for use for buyers and sellers both? Also, my coach recommended using my access to pocket listings to be my USP. Are there pre-made ads for that? Well, you're going to offer a list of luxury homes or a list of fixer-uppers. You know, that's the whole offer we're making, is we're making a list of unique properties that prospects perceive they can't get anywhere else. As far as where to run the ads, well, I would simply run the ads in all the different choices you've mentioned here and determine which one works the best. James, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, the thing I was going to say, I think the beginning of the question was for buyers and sellers. I want you to think about this. The ads are designed to generate prospects. In other words, when you run a buyer ad, that doesn't mean that the prospect looking for a property to buy, it doesn't mean they don't own a property to sell as well. And if you run a seller ad that says, find out what your home is worth online, for example, well, just because that prospect wants to sell their home, that doesn't also mean that they aren't looking to buy a property to live in as well. So the ads are designed to generate prospects, and it doesn't matter which ad we're talking about. Maybe the exception would be an investor ad or a first-time buyer ad. In those cases, it's very specific as to the transaction, but other than that, you're generating prospects. So all of the ads accomplish the goal of generating both buyers and sellers. I thought I heard that in the question, Craig.
Yeah, well, that is correct. So, for example, you could run one of our buyer campaigns and determine that the prospect actually wants to sell their home first.
Right.
So you ran an ad thinking, I'll target a buyer, but you actually not only got a buyer, you got a seller, and this prospect wants to sell their home first. Now, if you're asking which ads work the best to target sellers, I would definitely go with the area home sales report, or I would go with the online home evaluation, or the editorial. Some of the editorial ads targeting sellers do a great job, like the costly home seller mistake campaign or the inspection pitfalls. For buyers, anything that offers a hot list of properties. So if it's luxury homes, then you're going to offer a list of luxury homes, but not a normal, ordinary, boring list. Your list is going to include what? I mean, the ad could say that, right? Your ad could say, so the name of your marketplace. So in James, in your case, it would be Carlsbad. Carlsbad luxury homes. Free list of luxury homes with pictures, including, well, what's that list going to include? It could include hot new listings. It could include homes that aren't listed yet. It could include homes that are that have expired off of the market. You're going to decide what your list is going to include, and the description needs to set your list apart from everyone else's.
And even something as simple as must-sell homes, just including that verbiage that it's total layman's term, must-sell properties. In other words, these are properties that absolutely must sell. Now, of course, every property must sell, but marketing is about perception. So when you're including all of these things that Craig is saying, what you're doing is you're creating a perception in the prospect's mind that, wow, these properties aren't the same as just any property. These are the really great deals. These are the properties that have to sell that I might not be able to find elsewhere. That's what you want them to think. I cannot find these properties anywhere but in this ad.
You're not saying it, but that's the perception. You know,
Perception.
I liked at the Super Conference, do you remember Bill Watson showed
Yes.
one of his ads, one of his jackpot buyer ads, and the headline was, if you remember, unclaimed homes. And he got that, remember he got that from a buddy that was in the car business. Mm-hmm. It said unclaimed cars, and he said to his buddy, well, what's an unclaimed car? And his friend said, well, it's just a car we haven't sold yet. So Bill took that home, and he said, okay, well, I'm going to run an ad that says unclaimed homes. Now, the important thing is prospects contact you to find out, well, what does that mean? You see, on one hand, isn't this the truth? The buyers think we're all the same. But on the other hand, they don't want to miss out on anything, and that's why they contact 3 or 4 agents, and that's why they're on all these different websites, because as much as they think we're all the same, on the other hand, they're fearful that they might miss out on just the perfect home. Let's go to the next question here. Next question is from Phelan, I think, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. How do you adjust, James, you'll love this one. How do you adjust the follow-up script when this is an internet lead from, say, Zillow or Trulia?
You know, the bottom line is that the prospect requested information. So if you read the universal callback script, it says the reason I'm calling you is because you requested information. So in this case, you would say, the reason I'm calling is because I got your request for information on Zillow or Trulia. And I wanted to follow up and let you know that I did send the information, or that I'm processing the information, or that you should get the information shortly. I hope that's okay. The reason Craig called it a universal script is because there's one script that universally applies to all prospects. So there is no other script, right?
You know, I thought when I entitled the script, the universal callback script, that it might make that go away. But still today, we have we have members that say, well, what's the script for this, or what's the script for that? Look, there's one script. That's all we have, is we have one script. Now, there might be slight modifications to that,
to the intro,
depending on where the lead came from.
Right.
So, right. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Let me be the prospect, and James, let's say that I'm a Zillow lead. Okay.
Hi,
so,
is Craig there, please?
Speaking.
Oh, hi, Craig. It's James calling with RE/MAX. Craig, the reason I'm calling is we got your request for information on Zillow, and I just wanted to let you know that we did get that request. I'm putting it together for you now, and you should receive it shortly. I hope that's okay.
How does that sound, folks, right? That's exactly what we say to every prospect. Same thing. Okay, let's move on with the next questions here. Here's one from Leslie. Leslie Lund, I think it's pronounced, although it's got an E on, so I think it's Lund. Okay, Leslie, good morning. Leslie, she's asking, are there email follow-up templates for those leads where we do not capture their physical address? Well, here's the honest truth, and I hate to break this to everybody, but if they don't give us their phone number, there's nothing we've really found that's effective when we email them to get them to respond and come forward with their contact information. So I guess the news I'm breaking to you here, folks, is they're not forgetting to give us all of their contact information by accident. Okay, they're purposely hiding behind their email. So, I wish we had a magical email or voice you can't leave them a voice message. You don't have their phone number. You only have their email address. So, James, I wish we had a magical email that we could send out that would get prospects that are hiding behind their email.
You know what,
to come
though?
forward.
Let me speak to that a little bit here, Craig, and maybe you can add to this. Here's the truth. What that would assume is that we want all the prospects because they're all exactly the same. What that would assume is that if 15 prospects today visit your website, then all 15 of them are equally as motivated, equally as serious, equally as good. And that's not true. The website is designed to be a filter. So what it is likely to do is filter out the prospects that are not as ready, not as serious, not as motivated, but the ones that do leave that contact information, the reason they're doing it is because they are more serious, more qualified. So if out of 15, only 3 of them give you that information, then those are the 3 that you really want to focus your follow-up on heavily, because they're doing it for a reason. The phone book has lots and lots and lots of names in it, lots of prospects, lots of leads. We want to get away from that. We would rather have fewer that are really good than hundreds that are And all of you agree with that. So yes, we want it. We want it to be a filter. We want some of the prospects. As a matter of fact, not some. The majority of the prospects are going to leave when they get to the website. The majority of them. It is the good ones that are going to ask for the information and not hide. Those are the ones that are worthy of your follow-up.
Okay, so Leslie, I'm going to give you one email that might work. It's the best I've ever heard of. And that's, keep in mind, we have nothing for you here. I mean, really, there's nothing that no email we found that actually works that great. But the best one I've ever heard comes from Lester Cox. And Lester Cox would email the prospect and say, I've got your request for the information, whatever it is, and I would like to reach you and have a conversation about your criteria. If you respond, if you call me by 5 o'clock today, I'll give you X amount of dollars towards your closing costs. Okay, it could be $500, $1,000, whatever. But that Lester has reported he's had limited success with that, but again, limited. Okay, so you're ethically bribing them, really. You're basically saying, look, you contacted me, you didn't give me your phone number, but if you contact me by 5 p.m. today, here's what you're going to get: $500, $1,000 towards your closing costs. That's about the best one I've heard, and even that, when you talk to Lester, you might get, 1 in 10 might respond to that.
Right, and it assumes that they're very, they're late in the process, that they'd be interested in those closing costs. But, the truth is, the reason that they were requesting information was they wanted the information. So now you're sending them a message focusing on closing costs. You may scare them away for good. So take Craig's advice, and this is the best thing you want to do is let's maximize the number of good prospects that respond on your website and really make sure that you're doing an A-plus job with the prospects who do request the information and who do leave their contact details. Don't worry about the ones that don't until you've absolutely mastered the ones who do. They're the good ones. They're the ones that you're highly likely to convert into clients and into commission checks.
Okay, John Brackett here has got a great question because he's trying to familiarize himself with the Craig Proctor lingo, our language. You folks have heard us talk about editorial ads, and you know what an editorial ad is, right? And you should know by the name of the ad what section of the publication it runs in. So an editorial ad would run in the editorial section.
Yeah, it's an article.
Yes, it's an article. Now, a classified ad, of course, should run in the classified section under homes for sale. But John is asking, but what about these display ads? I've heard James and Craig talk about these display ads. What's the difference between a display ad and a classified ad? Well, John, excellent question. I'm glad you're asking this, because what I found is some of the classified ads, like the online home evaluation and the area home sales campaign, worked well outside of the classified section, just peppered randomly in the local paper. And if you remember at the Super Conference, I talked about this whole concept of remnant space. If you remember, I said that every newspaper, every publication has to build their publication slightly too big. Obviously, they can't make it too small. So they're always going to have extra space that you can negotiate for. Okay, now the salesperson, your sales rep, is usually not the best person to negotiate this with, because that's like asking them to negotiate a pay cut. They're not really interested in earning a lower commission. So I talked to the editor of the paper, who has a different motivation. The editor would rather get something from you rather than nothing, which is what they're getting right now, because they're filling that space with house ads. Okay, a house ad, promotes the newspaper or the publication, or they actually will give this extra space to charities. So that's what a display ad is. A display ad is simply a classified ad that I found worked well, randomly peppered throughout the local paper, and then I negotiated an excellent line rate where I was saving anywhere from 50% to 2/3 off the normal line rate. Now, that being said, you can't be fussy about position, right? I would give the newspaper my ads, different shapes and sizes, with the idea being at 3 o'clock in the morning, because that's usually when these decisions are made and they're building the newspaper, whatever they have space for, they're going to run some of my ads. The benefit is I save a lot of money. And like the online home evaluation, I think I was paying, I don't know, $20 to $30 for that. I figure it this way. You know, every time I sell a house, if I make $15,000 or $20,000, I can run a lot of $15 to $30, you know, $20 to $30 ads to make a $20,000 commission check. Okay, next question is from Jeff Kim, rather, and Jeff is asking, if you get alerted that a lead has come from one of your success website landing pages, do you call them immediately or give them time to review the report? No, Jeff, you want to call them immediately. These leads are not like fine wine. That being said, I don't want you to have to get up from the dinner table to go return a call, because that's how you've been living now, right? That's what real estate is like for most of you, is you have to leave your kid's soccer game, walk out of the theater, get up from the kitchen table. So with my program, you can shut the cell phone off for a while and call the lead back when it's convenient to you. But if you're sitting around the office or sitting at home and a lead comes in and you've got nothing else going on, absolutely call them back. You see, you're thinking, well, should I give them a chance to read the report? Look, the report is what we offer, the reason, the excuse to get the prospect to raise their hand. But no one's going to do business with you because of the report. So waiting for them to read the report is not going to help you at all. All right, we should probably take some audio questions at this point. So let's go over to Andrea and take some of those, and then we'll come back to the chat questions.
Yes, sir. Our first question comes from Eric Hawkins. Your mic is now open.
Hi, Craig. My question is, we're just starting our success website, and they're going to be running some Facebook campaigns for us. And they suggest that we run it for the entire week to see what happens. However, I remember Rick telling us that like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is the best. Do you recommend testing it out ourselves or using the research he already did?
Well, look, I think everything's a test. I mean, I respect Rick's opinion, and that's probably the results that Rick got. I would try it myself for a week. You know, what if you find out that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday works better for you?
Right. What if you run it for 6 months and then by mistake you accidentally run it on a Tuesday and it's an absolute jackpot, and for 6 months you could have been running it on a Tuesday? So you know what? It takes nothing to test it for 1 week, and then just track the results each day, the times when you run it, etc., and you'll arrive at that conclusion yourself. And you know what's very likely? You'll probably arrive at the same conclusion Rick did. But you better find out for yourself just to be certain.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good luck with your Facebook ads. Let's see who's next.
Our next question comes from Ira Miller. Go ahead, please.
Ready?
Ira?
Go.
Okay,
Good morning, Ira.
I can't get Ira's line open. Also, I'll go on to the next guest, Andre Sabarli. Your line is now open.
Good morning, Craig. Good morning, James. Can you hear me okay?
Good morning, Andre. What part of the country are you calling in from today?
I am calling from California, Camarillo, California, actually.
Excellent. And what's on your mind?
My question goes back to the, I guess, the unique domain name on my webpage. My webpage, the unbranded one, has homesinfoforfree.com, so that's my main webpage. So my question is, when you run the ads, you want a unique landing page or a landing domain name? Is that how it works?
Yeah, let me explain it to you really quickly.
Okay.
Okay, you're going to have a domain name for your home page, but no one's ever going to go to your home page on the less branded site. On your branded site, it's probably yourname.com. Is that correct?
That's right.
All right, so that's important, right? Yourname.com is going to be, that's going to drive people to the home page of your branded site. But with the less branded advertising, where you're going to generate most of your leads, like the editorial ads and the classified ads, the display ads that we're talking about, the postcards, most of that's less branded, right? So you're going to be driving to the exact landing page within your less branded website. You're not going to be driving that traffic to the home page, and let me tell you why. Let's say that you run an ad that says free list of fixer-uppers, and you drive to your home page. Well, now the poor buyer prospect has to sift through all that information on the home page to find the list of fixer-uppers. They've got to click another link. So they've got to go to the home page, then they've got to sift through all that stuff on your home page, and then click on the link to go to the actual landing page that offers the stuff they want. We don't want to make the buyers and sellers work that hard. So the only thing that should happen, one thing should happen in your ad when the prospect clicks on the domain name or they physically enter the domain name into their keyboard, they should go immediately to the landing page that corresponds with the ad. So when you run the fixer-upper ad, it goes to the fixer-upper landing page. You run the area home sales report ad, it goes to the area home sales report landing page.
Got it. So do I have to purchase a unique domain name for those landing pages then?
Well, only if you want tracking, which I assume you do, right?
Yes.
And the domain name the domain names that you register should make sense. A perfect test would be if the prospect couldn't even read your ad. If all they saw was your domain name, does your domain name pass the test? So let me give you some examples of some of my domain names. So I might have a domain name that says YorkRegionHomePricing.com. Well, there's no question what you're going to get when you go there, right?
Correct.
Or how about this? OnlineHomeEvaluation.com or FixerUpperList.com.
Okay.
I got a whole whack of them here, actually. Let me give you some of these here. These are actual domain names. Now, if you go to YorkRegionHomeSales.com, Andrew, maybe you can flip onto YorkRegionHomeSales.com. That's the domain name. That's the home page of my less branded site. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so there it is. Okay, now, if you go to the little box in the top left-hand corner, if Andrew just places her mouse there, okay, these are all the different landing pages that you have access to along the left there. You see for buyers, and if you scroll down for sellers, that's where you're actually going to drive the prospects from the campaign. So let me give you a couple here. Okay, so I want to be able to track what I do, right? So for the online home evaluation ad, I have a whole bunch of domain names that I registered. Let me give you some of these. You might want to write these down because what you could do is, where are you from, Andre?
Camarillo, California.
Okay, so you could put the name of your town in front of any of these domain names, and it would work. In fact, one of the things that I wasn't crazy about is, what did you say your domain name was for your homepage on your less branded site?
Homesinfoforfree.com.
Okay, now what I would rather you do is have the name of your marketplace in there.
Right.
Okay.
All right, now repeat it back.
We don't want to be generic when we can be specific.
Right. Like look at mine, YorkRegionHomeSales.com. I'm not saying anywherehomesales.com. So James McDonald is in Carlsbad, California. That's where James lives. James, what would be your domain name?
Right, yeah, carlsbadhomeinfo.com, for example.
Something like that.
Remember this, one of the things that we talk about early in this program is that the benefit or the advantage that you have over, Zillow and Trulia and all these huge is that because we're local, you get to be specific. And people will always prefer specific information, accurate information, than generic. So we have to use our advantage every way we can. If you're ever going to offer information, make it extremely specific to the audience geographically that's reading it, because they will want it more than they would want generic information that isn't specific.
Okay, so look at what Andrea has done while James has been talking. And this is the process all of you will go through. So Andrea goes to namesforsuccess.com and she types in carlsbadhomeinfo.com. Too bad, that one's taken. So James, give it another shot. We'll keep playing with this until we find one that's available for James.
Well, it gives you the suggested. See how it gives you the suggestions below, right? Carlsbadhome.net, Carlsbad Home.
How about let's try this? Carlsbadhomesales.com. Let's try that. Drum roll, please. Taken. Okay, so it gives you a couple of suggestions. Carlsbadhome.net.
And see below, it says, oh, those are the ones that are taken. Is that what that is below? The premium ones? Does that mean they're taken?
I just think
no, you can buy them.
those are available,
so
right?
We don't want to do that. Yeah. Okay, so let's try to figure out one here from Carlsbad. Okay, how about this? Carlsbad Home. Did we do home info already?
Yes.
Okay, so Carlsbad homesaleinfo.com. Try that. Carlsbadhomesaleinfo.com. Okay, I'm going to bet that one's available. Carlsbadhomesaleinfo.com. Do you want to wager on that, James? You can buy it. There you go, $20. Carlsbad Home Sale. See, sometimes you have to play with it. But let me give you folks, you want to write some of these down. Here are the actual domain names, and I believe I still own all these. So how about this one? I run the online home evaluation campaign, and I'm testing it in different places. So I would use onlinehomeevaluation.com, onlinehomepricing.com, overthenethomevalue.com, quickonlineevaluation.com. Let me give you a few others I've got here. Let me get my glasses on here, James, so I can read these. Okay. Areahomesalesreport.com, avoidcostlymistakes.com, bankdistressHomesales.com, bankdispresssale.com, fasthomeevaluation.com, homesellermistakes.com, onlinehomepricing.com, onlinehomeevaluation.com, overthenethomevalue.com. You guys get the point.
So each of those you have to purchase, right, Craig?
Correct. Now you can buy these at GoDaddy for probably less money, but you have to make sure when you buy these, everyone hear this, you've got to know if you buy them outside of Names for Success, you've got to let a Success website know you've registered them, or it won't be tracked in the back end, in the control panel under Track My Success. If they don't know you registered the domain name, then obviously it won't be tracked. The benefit of using Names for Success is it already links through their system. And it's more money, right? You're paying whatever, $20 instead of $5 or $10. You know, they of course want you to go through theirs because it's connected right through their system. But you can register the domain names wherever you want, but don't forget to tell Success about it, or you won't have any tracking, which is the only reason you've got a unique domain name in the first place.
So is that per year, the pricing?
Yeah, it's for a year, and it can be set up just to automatically renew. So over all the years I did this, I probably have 75 domain names.
Okay.
Which I've kept all this time because they're really good. I'm going to auction them off, I think, at some point, because I've got some really good ones. I mean, how about onlinehomeevaluation.com?
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully that answers your questions, Andre, and let's move on and see who's next.
Our next question, we're going to try again. Ira Miller, your telephone line is open.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Ira, you did it.
Yes.
How you doing?
Oh, good. How are you?
Good. And where are you calling from this morning?
I'm calling from the Villages, Florida.
You're in Florida?
60 miles north of Orlando.
Excellent. So Ira was on the West Coast. You're on the East Coast. So what's on your mind today, Ira?
Okay, I have a question. Using the seller USP, we're making these claims that we'll sell your home in an X amount of period of time. So it's very important that we get the marketing or the market value correct on these homes. And I know when I go in and do my market analysis and my listing appointment, and I'll tell them what their home will sell for, they're always wanting to raise the price so they can get offers. So what do I tell them? I mean, and should I just kind of hold my line and say, look, this is what your home's going to sell for example, if it's $350,000, do we list it for $350,000 or do I let them list it higher so they can take offers? How do I handle that?
Okay, well, let's start with what is your performance guarantee?
My performance guarantee is I'll sell it in 90 days or less, or I sell it for free.
Okay, so Andrea, if we could go to the certificate generator and we could pull up the certificate that Ira wants to use. So it's 90 days, or what's going to happen in 90 days, Ira?
Or I'll sell it for free.
Sell it for free. Okay, first of all, I'd probably start off with the one that's not free. I'd probably say 90 days or I'll pay you $1,000 because why even risk giving up all your commission?
Right.
Like, why not? Wouldn't that be enough to say your home sold in less than 90 days or I'll pay you $1,000 or $2,000? Why give it all up? So, Andrea, if you can pull up that certificate, we'll have a look at the rules. Now, here's the idea. This should only be used, Ira, to either generate leads from sellers that never would have contacted you in the first place, or to get the listing when they're speaking to other realtors. In other words, if somebody called me and said, Craig, come on over and list my house, I'm not even talking about this. You only want to use these when you have to use them, when you believe it's going to get you the business. Now, if you take a look at your home sold in 90 days, or I'll pay you $1,000 cash, which is a reduction on closing of your commission, what's the worst thing that could happen here? Well, the worst thing that could happen, instead of making, I don't know, what's your average commission there in Florida?
Homes typically sell in my area between $2,000 and $250,000, so it'd be about $6,000.
Okay, so instead of making $6,000 to $7,000, you're going to take $1,000 less. So instead of $6,000, you're going to make $5,000. That's the worst thing that can happen, and that means that the home took longer than 90 days to sell, but it's still sold. If the house doesn't sell at all, then you're not paying anything. You're not reducing your commission because there is no commission. Andrew, are you still with us?
Yes.
Are you able to, maybe there's a delay on my end. Is the certificate up there?
I must have lost audio there for a minute. I didn't hear you say you needed to go up there. Hold on just one second.
Yeah, certificate generator. And I'm going to recommend to Ira that he uses before he gives up all his commission, why risk that? What do they say, James? You don't bring a shotgun to a water gun fight.
Right, it's a little much.
Right, let's start with the water gun. You don't need to go to the shotgun. So let's do 60 days or $1,000 certificate if we click on that. So here's what you want to use. I'm going to show you how to present this. So change that to 90 days for Ira. Okay, and maybe you don't even have to give up $1,000. What if it was $500? Let's stick in $500. Because if your average commission's $6,000, well, you're offering to give them a 10% rebate. That might be enough to do the trick, right? Okay, so Ira, let's get to the house. You've got this certificate. It's in your briefcase, and the idea is you're only going to use this thing when you have to.
Okay.
All right, so if it's a referral, it's a buddy, it's your cousin's house, you don't need to use this. But in what situation are you using this? And tell me exactly what you're saying and what they're saying in response.
Well, what I'm telling them is there's other agents that are coming in, and I asked them if there's anybody else that's giving them a market analysis, and they say that they are. And so I caution them that somebody's going to come in and give them a higher price for their home just to get the listing. So it's
okay. So you're not in last, right? You're not in last.
yes. Well, in this, like I had a listing over the weekend, and I was in last.
Okay.
So I told them, I said, just be careful, because I'm just letting them know, because I'm anticipating that they've already had other people ahead of me that have told them that their home is worth more than what it really is just to get the listing.
Okay, well, I wouldn't anticipate that. I would flat out ask them, have you been speaking to other realtors? And if they balk on price, just ask them, did the other realtors, did they suggest a list price that's higher than mine? Because that's a common technique that some realtors will use to try to get your business. Now, what should be important to you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, is which realtor is actually going to get you the most amount of money after the commission, net in your pocket. So what I offer you is a unique guarantee that I am going to sell your home in 90 days or less, or I'll pay you $500, okay, on closing. So they're going to be interested in this. So I'm going to guarantee that your house is going to sell within this reasonable time frame. This is something the other realtors, I'm sure, would not offer. So here's how the program works. The first thing that's important, if you look at step number one, is we've got to agree on an asking price and a sales price. So number one says in this agreement, so this would be your team, the IRA team guarantees the seller's home is not sold in the first 90 days of listing at a minimum price of, that team will, the IRA team will continue to market the seller's home for an additional whatever that is, and pay the seller $500 or deduct $500 off of the commission. Okay, so you can type in the length of the listing you want and so on. The language you're going to use, you're going to come up with a price now that you believe that you can hit. You're going to sell their home for X amount or more during that, within that 90-day period. If they say to you, well, the other realtor said we could get more money for our home, or more money, you could simply say, well, look, I could do it that way too. I could list your home for $10,000 more. Unfortunately, I can't give you the guarantee. And what you'll find is they want the guarantee more than you want to give it. So you don't want to bend on this.
Right. They called me back and they asked me if I would list it for $10,000 more than what I had told them. And
yeah,
said,
sure. I can. Yeah, I can do it, but I can't give you the guarantee. That's the key. Now, if they're real strong on, well, the other realtor said they could get us $10,000 more. What you want to say is, great. I'll give you this certificate, and you see if that realtor will sign this. That's the test, right?
Yeah,
Here,
that's good.
I'll give you this contract, and you take this to the other realtor that says they can get you $10,000 more, and see if they'll sign this.
That's perfect.
Right. Now, they take this back. The other realtor won't sign it. What do they feel about the other realtor? Ira's telling them the truth, right, because you've warned them, and you've said, well, look, if the other realtor is really confident they can get you $10,000 more than I'm quoting you, that's what they're telling you, you have them show this to them and get the other realtor to sign this.
That's good. I like that.
So that's how we're going to work this, because we are trying to combat this problem in our industry that real estate agents will exaggerate the value of the home, right, to get the listing. And we're going to point this out to the seller, and there's going to be some accountability here, right? It's like, okay, well, if the other realtor thinks that they can get you $10,000 more, I'll fill all this out with their name and their company name, and you go get them to sign that. And if they balk at this, though, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what does that tell you? That they actually were not confident. Because I'm so confident in the price I promise you that I'm going to pay you $500 if I'm wrong. Money's going to come out of my pocket into yours. And that's how we're going to set ourselves apart from all these price inflators.
Perfect. I love it.
All right. Let us know how you make out with that, Ira.
All right, Craig. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see who's next.
Our next audio question comes from Kelly Ann Ayers. Your computer mic is open.
Yes, can you hear me?
Kelly, how are you doing today?
Hi, good, thank you. Nice to hear from you, Craig.
Kelly, I am going to be in Sarasota. Of course, we've got the boot camp. I hope you're going to be there on May the 21st.
Yes, I'm registered. Would not miss it.
Great. So I'm going to be on the key there for a week. I'm going to come down and try to get some sun and relax. But I'm flying in the day before, and I look forward to seeing our entire Florida group at the Hyatt Regency.
Yes.
From 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on May 21st.
Yes, and maybe we could squeeze in a boat ride.
I would like that.
Okay. Great. I wanted to jump over to the hotlines. I have a listing in a gated community with an uptight seller because we're not getting very many showings. And I wondered, for doing a recording for that property, how did you do your recordings? Do you give the price? Do you say all the fluff that's in the ads? How would you attack it?
So we have a template on the coaching site, okay, and on how to actually do this. Because the truth of the matter is, as we've already discussed, most of the people that inquire about your listing are going to eliminate the property, but we still want to get that buyer to raise their hand because we might be able to sell that buyer something, right? We might be able to work with that buyer in some way. Yeah. Now, at the end of the property description, if the buyer prospect is actually interested in the home, we don't want to lose out on that opportunity. So we want to do a really good job talking about the emotional features in that property that would strike an emotional chord with the buyer. So if you remember at the Super Conference, I talked about this. Typical realtor in Sarasota or Osprey, they would run an ad that babbles on about the physical features of the property. And most of the physical features, let's face it, are not reasons why people are going to get excited about a home. So, if we go on, if we do what the other realtors do, and we talk about, a new roof or, closet organizers or a garburator, that's not really going to cut it. So what are the emotional things about this property that we could really talk about it? What is it that is really special? So what we're trying to do is paint a picture in the mind of the prospect. So, for example, if I said to you in the ad, if I said, this is on a quiet tree-lined street, or it had a cozy great room or family room with a floor-to ceiling stone fireplace, or it's got a large private backyard perfect for entertaining. Each one of those features, paints a picture in your mind. So those are the kinds of words that we want to use. And we also, at the same time, want to be very careful to stay away from eliminators. So the ad at the Super Conference I shared with you, it said things like, 2-bedroom. Well, that might sound too small, right? So I actually, unbeknownst to me, was adding 2-bedroom to the words in my ad, causing people to not respond, to go away because they thought, well, that house is too small. So stay away from the eliminators. Just because the home might be a 2-bedroom doesn't mean we need to say 2-bedroom in the ad. Another example might be corner lot. Okay, in Canada, where I'm from, an in-ground pool is not always a positive because the summers are so short here. In Sarasota and Osprey, where you live, it's hard to sell one without a pool. So we've got to look at what we can truthfully say about the property, and sometimes it's hard. I mean, I remember having properties where it was actually hard to think of good things to say about it. So sometimes it would be in a really bad area, but I tried to associate it with a nice area. So in Newmarket, I might say northwest part of town. Okay, rather than say the specific area, because the specific area wasn't a hot seller. So we're going to get you that template, and you're going to use the template. Now, at the end of the description, so you've done everything I've said here, and you've sat down and you've brainstormed all the emotional things, the great things you can say. You're staying away from the eliminator, but even still doing all of that, you know that most of the buyers are not going to be interested in that property. So here's what we're going to say. On the hotline, it has to say what you would say. Because if somebody called you on one of your properties and you determined they weren't interested, you wouldn't just say get lost. You would say, well, what are you looking for? Because I could tell you about homes that do match your criteria. You could go to your brokerage listings or MLS, and you would certainly do that. So that's exactly what the hotline script's been designed to do. It'll say, you know, if the home at 123 Main Street doesn't sound like a perfect match for you, we know of several other homes in the area, including bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, distress sales. And if you'd like information on other homes that match your criteria, please press 1. Okay, so those templates, we can, let me try this right now. Andrea, if you type that into the file library, has that been uploaded? Try listing description template.
Listing description, okay.
Or property description. Property description template.
I thought maybe if we just try to go small just by looking up property.
Okay, yeah.
Nothing comes up at all.
Okay. Can you make sure that that gets uploaded today?
I'll make a note of it right now.
Okay, perfect. Okay, it's in there. We just, like I said, we've got a new coaching site here, and we're just trying to get everything into the file library. But that's how it's supposed to work. You type in your wish, and boom, it appears.
Craig, you're speaking with Ira about the different unique selling propositions, and really this question kind of circles back to that a little bit as well, in that you'd probably agree that if this property is listed bang on market value as it's introduced onto the market, that there's a much better chance that the exposure to all of the other realtors that have buyers that might be interested would probably be the greatest at the beginning. So by having these unique selling propositions in your listing presentation, it's designed so that you're more likely to get that property priced as close to market value right out of the gates as possible, thus greatly increasing the odds of other realtors bringing buyers to this property in the beginning and not have it linger on the market for weeks or months on end.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Good luck with that. Let's see who's next.
Our next guest with a question is Melanie Sanders. Your computer mic is now open. Melanie, say hello. Okay, we'll move on to Carol Hiscom. Your line is now open. Carol, say hello.
Hello, but I didn't have a question.
That's okay. Your hand might have been raised by accident. I'll go ahead and release it. We'll go on to Valentina Hedenta. Your mic is now open.
Yes, good morning. Yes. Hi, Craig.
Hello.
Hello. I have a question on Facebook ad.
Okay.
I advertised through the Success website and it was flagged. And I correspond to the Facebook through online, but haven't heard anything. And I need to fill out a form, but I do not know where should I go with that form after I fill out.
Okay, so I would contact the good folks at Success website, tell them what's happened, and have them help you walk through what you need to do. Okay,
I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Here's a chat question. We'll go back to some chat questions for a minute. This is from Sherry. James, Sherry is asking, how much appeal do you really think these kinds of ads have in light of the fact that sellers and buyers can just get about whatever they want on the internet?
Well, I mean, of course, this is the advantage that we have, is that we're going to offer information that is very, very specific and very local to what they're looking for. That's number one. And number two, what we're also going to do is understand that if we don't make it sound like what we're offering is in any way unique, then you're probably going to be right. But we're not going to do that. We are going to make sure that the information that we're offering creates a perception that you can't get it elsewhere, or that You could find it, but it would be a royal pain in the neck for you to be able to find these great deals, for example. This is the key, is you've got to make your offer sound different by making it sound what Craig calls proprietary. In other words, you are the one that offers this unique information. Take, let me give you an example. When you run an ad that says, find out what your Silver Spring home is worth online, or Silver Spring home values up 17%, find out your home's value online, you must understand that Zillow can't do that. Zillow will never, ever run an ad that targets Silver Spring and that is specific in the information like that. And people want specific, local, accurate information. So on the seller side, it's not difficult to do that. And on the buyer side, it might be even easier. You're going to run ads that offer properties in very specific neighborhoods, specific price ranges, specific types of properties. But what you're also going to do is you're always going to make sure that that element of exclusivity, the properties that you're offering are exclusive to you. They're proprietary properties that you have access to. The must-sell homes, distress sales, great deals, price-reduced properties, sellers in trouble.
Okay, so we have a couple comments on this. Look, this has always been the case for real estate agents. Everyone realizes this, right?
That's true, too.
Since the beginning of time, the beginning of MLS anyway, since the beginning of MLS, all the real estate agents go to the same exact well for information. So what we sell, okay, will never set us apart. It's how we sell it. We've got to describe what we do in such a way that buyers and sellers have a perception that we're different. Here's another question, in fact, from Shirley. She says, look, I live in the Bay Area. Almost everyone in the Bay Area is up with technology. The technology that we will be sending them the same homes that they see on their own through their mobile phones. So really, what are we sending them that is different? Or how do we make ourselves different? So, well, here's one choice. I guess, Shirley, we could say, you know what? You got us. So I guess what we should really just say to buyers is, yep, you got us. We're all the same. We all go to the exact same well for information. So, it really doesn't matter who you use. We're all exactly the same. Right? And in fact, most realtors have surrendered to that. But what James is saying, we need to make an attempt to create a perception that what we're going to offer is different without saying it. Nowhere are we saying that you can't get this information from other agents. You've never heard James say that. You've never heard us say it. We're inferring that. That is the conclusion that the prospect comes to when, if I was to say to James, James, would you like priority access to hot new listings that match your criteria, including bank foreclosures, company-owned properties, distressed sale homes, company-owned properties? These are homes that, yes, in fact, we could get, but we're never saying the other agents can't access this information. That's the perception that prospects have. I quite often get asked, well, with Zillow and with Zillow and Truly out there and all these different places that offer property values, why is our offer so valuable? Like, look, that's why these sites are popular, because prospects are in demand for this kind of information. So that's the good news. Yes, there's a lot of information online. We're never suggesting they won't go to these other sites. They will, but they'll respond to these ads as well. Will all of them respond? No, but enough of them will that you and I can make a very nice living. So that's the answer. The answer is, yep, there's a lot of information online, and we're going to make our information sound intriguing. And some of these buyers and sellers, they'll respond to our ads. They may respond to other information.
Watch this too. Let me give you an example. In your, I'm going to describe a real estate office. In your real estate office, there are, let's say, 80 realtors in that office. Are you telling me that it would be unheard of that of those 80 realtors that every week, if not more frequently, a realtor in that office, in your real estate office, takes a listing that has yet to come on the market? In other words, they've got the listing, but it's not going to be put on the MLS for a number of days, or perhaps in some cases even a number of weeks.
Yeah, many MLSs, you've got 48 hours to broker load it. So what you're saying is, would it be possible that one of the other 50 agents in your office, they list something, and you would know about it before the other buyers because it's not an MLS yet?
And let me ask you this, how much sooner would you know about it than Trulia? Weeks before? And I'm not making this up. Does this happen every day? The answer is yes, it absolutely does. So there is an example right there. There's one example right there of proprietary information that you would be able to get that I don't care if it was Bill Gates himself. They would not be able to find that by going on any website. Wouldn't be able to find it. Information not available to the public. You have that proprietary information for them. And that's one example. So
well, how about this? We go to office meetings, right? So I'm at the RE/MAX office meeting, and my buddy, a realtor at the RE/MAX office, says, "Hey, Craig, do you remember that listing on such and such a street that expired a couple months ago? Well, it's coming back on the market with me. I'm going to be listing it in a week." And I say, you know what? I think I might have a buyer for that. It never goes on MLS. All of us have these opportunities. So I know what you're saying. You want to save face. You want to tell the truth. Well, we want to give you some examples of you are all telling the truth. You have access to proprietary information that is not available on any website and that other agents don't have. So I think some of you just want to know, like, you want to be okay with that in your head. You got to get your head around that. But again, what's your option? The other option is yeah, we just assume everybody's exactly the same. You're gonna have a tough time in this business if you can't handle that objection when you're speaking to a buyer or seller. And they say, well, why should I use you versus somebody else?
And
if you don't know the answer.
I mean, apply this to the restaurant. Why would I ever open up a restaurant? I mean, there already are restaurants. So
exactly.
I mean,
right in the Bay Area. There's all those other restaurants. Why would they come to your restaurant?
Yeah. You know, I was going to be a dentist, but there already are dentists, so I'm not going to be a dentist. You could say that about virtually everything.
All right, let's go back and take some more audio questions.
Yes, sir. Next audio question comes from Vic McCarrion. Your mic is now open.
Yeah, hi, good morning, Craig.
Hey, Vic.
James.
Vic's got a question, James.
Yeah. Finally, I have a question, please. It happened a few times that sometimes I got the listing, some I didn't. I just had recently a seller calling me, said an agent is charging 3% only. What is my commission? He said, I don't want to waste time. And I know you always advise to meet them first. And I knew the agent, they indicated that he charges only 3%. And I said, what's more important, how much net you have or the commission?
Well, I wouldn't even get into that yet. That's a conversation you have when you get there. I would just respond with, I don't know, I haven't seen your house yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's some conversations that are better handled when you're face-to-face with them.
Okay.
Another thing you can talk about, too, is
your commission is as low as zero. You charge no commission if the home isn't sold. So, and if you're worried that if you sit down and you give your presentation and that they're going to say, well, you've wasted my time, well, anybody could say that. I mean, realistically, that is a possibility for any seller. But the whole idea of your presentation is it combats the seller's idea that all that matters is the commission they pay. The truth is, I think most sellers probably think that and don't say so. The idea of your presentation, Vic, is it's so good that in the presence of value, somebody who thought they wouldn't be willing to pay more, all of a sudden they say, I'm willing to pay more. So, but you have to give them the presentation first. Craig says, benefit first, then commitment. Never commitment first, then benefit, ever, under any circumstances, no.
Hey, Vic, let me ask you this as well.
Yes.
What of the total listing commission, of the total commission, what portion is the
we got a break. The buyers, if you're asking for the buyer, it's 2.5.
Okay, and what are you keeping?
Well, sometimes I get 6, I keep 3.5. Sometimes 5.5, I keep 3.
Okay, so you could have said to the seller, what I charge is 3%.
Okay.
Isn't that true? The part that you keep is 3%. What they want to offer to the buyer agent is up to them.
Oh, okay. But can I put 0 on the MLS?
Well, we're seeing a lot of that now. You see, the way this is going to eventually work, and I hope everyone realizes this, is, and this is the way it should have worked from day one, is the seller, you're going to be able to negotiate your commission with the seller, and the buyer's agent will negotiate their commission with the buyer. Okay, because what's happening right now in your marketplace with the commission portion that's being offered to the buyer agent? Is it going up or down?
It's almost the same, 2.5. Sometimes goes down to 2. Sometimes goes to 1.
Yeah, but it's never going up.
You said a minute ago that sometimes when you list a home, you take 3.5.
Yeah.
And you offer 2.5 to the agent.
Yes.
So but the agent doesn't have the same opportunity that you just described.
Yeah.
You had an opportunity to go in and negotiate your commission with the seller. The buyer on that transaction has to accept whatever's being offered to the buyer agent on MLS. So what if you offered 2? What if you offered 1? What if you offered 0? So what we teach agents, as you know, Vic, is how to negotiate your fee with both seller and buyer.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a point. Now, I know in Toronto, in my marketplace, there's a lot of 2%, 1%, $5, $1, 0. That's going on right now.
Yes. And how you answer them, I told him also, like, for example, I haven't seen your home yet. He goes, well, how much you usually charge? And I told him 0 to 6%. I haven't seen your home yet, but they keep emphasizing about the commission. So should I just ignore them, or?
Well, I would say this. Look, it sounds like you're pretty focused on what you're going to, the commission you're going to pay versus what you're going to get in your pocket. So, what would be more important to you? Paying the least amount of commission or netting the most in your pocket after the commission?
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah, I should. Okay.
Well, that's what we're really talking about. What is most important to you? Paying me the least amount of money or you getting the most amount of money?
Okay.
Because what they're assuming is all agents are the same, so I should just go with the agent that charges the least amount of commission. So this goes back to being able to differentiate ourselves. How did this person get a hold of you in the first place?
Through the internet. I don't know which site. He called me a few times, and I returned the call. He goes, oh, he found an agent. He charges only 3% total. And I knew that agent, so.
Okay. And what if you said, there's a big difference between real estate agents and what they do and how much they charge to get the job done? Would you be open to meeting with me as well?
It's a great one, too. I should remember. Sometimes.
Right. And he would probably say, well, I don't know. What do you charge? And you'd say, I don't know. I haven't seen your home yet. Well, what do you usually charge? Well, it depends. If your house is really easy to sell, then you wouldn't be charged as much. Do you have a nice home? Of course, they all think they do.
Yeah.
But you've got to get face-to-face. It's very hard to handle the commission objection over the phone. And by the way, no matter what price you quote them, they're going to just keep calling around, and they're always going to find somebody that offers, that quotes them a lower commission. Offering the lowest fee is not a great business model because of that. There's always going to be someone that comes along that offers a lower fee. That's why we don't even want to play in that sandbox.
Okay, you gave me great tips.
All right, thanks, Vic.
Thank you.
Look, we're pretty much out of time here today. James, anything you want to say before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for participating as always. Hey, this is how every Monday morning goes. The idea is we take all of these questions ranging from all kinds of different topics, and it gets the blood flowing and reminds you why you committed to getting involved in the Craig Proctor program. And it's easy to fall back in your old ways, but if you start every week off by getting on this webinar and getting back into the Craig Proctor spirit, it really does help, and participation is the key. Reach out to your coach, reach out to us, make sure you participate. Thursday is our role play session. So come on the role play session, and any ads that you'd like us to take a look at on Friday, you can upload those right on the coaching website as well. So have a great week, everybody, and we'll look forward to speaking to you often. So thanks so much. And Andrea, thanks for your help as well.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
This officially ends the webinar for today.